Welcome to another edition of the Super Fantasy Bros Super Podcast. Why did Mike pick this music to start, you may ask? Because recently, some beautiful images were released from the next season of Rick and Morty, Season 4. And this very much reminds me of some Rick and Morty vibes.
I like that. I was going to say, you guys want to raid Area 51?
Also that. You know, when I steal my alien, I'm going to teach that motherfucker how to drink some beer.
There you go.
So, joined as always by my cohort and partner in crime, Timothy.
T-Sizzle.
J Shirtlift. T-shirt.
I'm Charles Suggs. I've changed a lot.
Followed by that lump of coal in your stocking. You know him. You love him.
Your favorite Jew.
He's a ginger. Brian J. Cole.
It's the dual threat, Ginger Jew.
Dr. J. Cole.
All right.
All right. So
talking
today,
some tight ends.
Wait. My tight end? Oh, no. Our top 10
Did you
tight
just
ends.
touch my ass?
I did. Don't ask how. But just know I did. So, we're talking our top 10 tight ends heading into the preseason. Obviously, the preseason's still to come, but, you know, we're going off some vibes. We're going to feel some things out.
It's a solid intro, and I'm happy for that, because tight end's like kind of, it's not my most exciting position in the world, but we're gonna have some fun.
I agree.
There's a really good 3, and then it kind of drafts off.
Right.
100%. But let's get into it. Our consensus number 1 is the consensus number 1 amongst fantasy experts, though I am the one who disagrees, but we'll get into that. We've got Travis Kelce.
How can you disagree with Travis Kelce? One.
Well, I like George Kittle.
That's fair.
I
But
like him a lot.
If Mahomes is great and he doesn't have Tyreek Hill,
But Kittle did what he did with no
No.
Jimmy Graham.
that's fine. So if we're gonna talk,
Yeah, but they got other weapons now.
there might be a certain element of homerage going on right now.
I acknowledge 100% Niner homerage in this instance, but I still am firmly of the belief that if backup quarterbacks can make George Kittle one of the most dynamic tight ends in the game of all time, he broke some records, if you may recall.
I do. And he broke Kelsey's yardage like just hours after Kelsey said it.
Yep. So imagine if you have a potential top 10 quarterback thrown to you. And I'm not saying he is.
Okay.
But I'm saying he could be. Let's get into Kelsey.
Yeah. So where I think for the more useful conversation would be, where would you guys draft Travis Kelce overall? Like, I was ecstatic to take him. I had the 3rd pick in our mock. I took McCaffrey, and Kelce was still sitting there at the 3rd to last pick of the 2nd round. I was like, bank that all day.
See, I think that's early.
That's crazy to consider that early. I mean, to me. I think that's I'm willing to take him maybe. I'm considering him around 14.
I'm one of those guys that when I looked at Gronk back in the day, I would be like, too early. Don't touch him. Fuck Gronk.
But you say either be at the first of the position or wait, and tight end, it's
that's true,
different.
That's true. But in this case, I think wait is the stronger play. And
ECR,
I stand by that.
ECR has him at 12, so my 14, according to experts, is low, and I got him at 17. And I don't know, I'm looking at him at 14. I don't know if I have him there, like 15, 16.
It's nice to win your tight end matchup every week, for sure, but I think you can still do that, and you can still do that in a round or two later.
Yeah, I'm still a fan of taking 2 running backs right off the bat and a wide receiver next, and then maybe.
Yeah,
it's safer.
4 is definitely my play, maximum.
If I can get the difference maker Kelce, still get a decent RB2 like I did in the mock, and then end up with like Cooks as my wide receiver 1, I'm good with that. Wide receiver is pretty replaceable. It's the most replaceable position as far as finding waiver wire studs like Kenny Galladay last year and such. So that's my philosophy. I think it comes down to philosophy, because if you were the kind that would draft Gronk late 1st, early 2nd, then you're the kind that's going to do that with Kelce.
That's a Chopik move, value. Man.
Well, if you know how to manage the rest of your roster, it can be a serious boon.
But what happens is most people don't. And so, like, I watched, like, Chopik.
I believe in you all, though. So
that was
if you draft well.
You shouldn't believe in them. You don't know them. But Chopik always was of that mindset. He's going to fill out his entire roster before he touches bench. You know, like, he was that kind of guy. And so he would always be the Gronk guy in our league. And how many times did he make that playoff?
I don't know. That's a weak argument if you ask me.
I don't think it is.
How many like fantasy championships did Gronk win? People, I think that's the stronger argument.
I would tell you he's won me 0, but I've won 2 in our league.
Kelsey knew Gronk,
and I beat you twice in Luke's league.
Well, if I end up with Kelsey, I mean, I'm not going to be taking him over like, I don't know, Juju or, a top 10 RB in all likelihood. But
so
he's
you're not
right,
touching him in the second round.
But that would make him right around 16, 17, and that's exactly where I took him. I think I took him at 18. I think that would make him in our mock. And so I'm looking very, very long and hard. And that was very intentional at Travis Kelce at 17.
Personally, I'd rather have 2 running backs than go grab a George Kittle in the 3rd or 4th round and get like a wide receiver in between. And that's just how I feel. That's why
I normally go 2 running backs, but again, it depends on where you are. If you're 6 or 7, I'm gonna go probably wide receiver 1. So I'm gonna get Mr. Hopkins.
Sure.
And so let's just say
then I need a running back 2, no matter what.
Yeah.
So
for
I don't
think
I'd be going tight end 3.
And also let's talk about what your draft ended up being. So you end up running back 1, then you end up Kelsey, and then
I got Aaron Jones in the 3rd,
and then you have
which was fine.
But that puts you in a real rough spot, wide receiver. If you take
but it wasn't that
early,
rough. I mean, I got Cooks, Moore, DJ Moore, Chris Godwin, and there was a lot of depth. I just hammered wide receiver after that.
Oh, 100%.
When other people are taking Evan Ingram and
it
Hunter
puts
Henry,
you in a rough spot, I think.
It depends on what level you quantify rough, but yeah.
I think it puts you in a spot where you have to, at the very least, you have to be adjusting.
I think
for
this
what
is
you've done.
Sure.
So,
this is a conversation of tiers, and so I have Kelsey as a 1, and you guys have a 2, where Kittle for you is just he's your 1. So there's maybe not a tier there.
I think Kittle and Kelsey are on a tier of their own,
and I think Ertz is in that, and I have a 4 actually. And everyone thinks there's a big 3 for me. There's a 4. So varying opinions here.
So
I think we've talked enough
4,
about.
Why would you go after Kelsey if you can stay in that first tier and then get Howard, which I believe would be in your tier? I see no reason to grab the first one.
It depends. And
I never do.
The draft doesn't always break for you that way, so I think the risk is worth taking Kelsey in the late second.
I've never had a Kelsey or Gronk on my team, ever, on any of my fantasy teams.
I've won leagues with both.
Yeah, so
for sure.
But Kelsey, he was in the 5th round in the league I won when this was 2 years ago.
Oh,
and then now he's the 3rd round, and now he's the 2nd round at the level.
But
Gronk
whenever Gronk was 2nd round pick,
5th round, I'd definitely take a tight end. So let's
100%.
just say that.
Of course. Yeah, that's not the point of making necessarily, but I think that's the height of the tight end 1, the value that can be got. But Kelsey's so talented; he has the most dynamic quarterback in the league. They have a depleted offense from not having Hill all season. I'm loving it. So give me some of that.
That's fair. So, I mean, honestly, I've won leagues with Austin Hoopers of the world, and the honestly, I've competed for playoff spots with Trey Burton last year. I was very close to getting him.
But he was a pain in the butt to own. So
he was.
But near the end of the season, he was a great thing to
really good game with 3 touchdowns.
And that was right when a lot of people, including myself, had given up on him.
Yep.
But let's that was more of a philosophical discussion. Let's move on to the guy we all as Niner fans want to talk about. Don't get me wrong.
I ranked him 1.
I love me some George Kittle. I got him.
Kelsey
I got him with the experts at 3. Cole's got him at 2, and Mike's got him at 1. So we love our baby boy.
I made my argument. He had backup quarterbacks thrown to him. He's in a Kyle Shanahan offense.
Can you rely on those massive plays again, though?
He's gonna get the yards.
He's gonna get the yards.
He's just. I don't think he's gonna get his.
So
if you're in a half-point PPR, he's gonna get the catches.
Devil's advocate. So he got them last year, and he's incredibly talented. But how many yards after the catch did he get?
A lot.
And from a very select amount of plays. Like, he took this land to the house against, like, the Raiders or whatever on Monday Night Football. Yeah. He had the game against the Broncos. We caught one over the middle, 70-something yards.
They were always down, so they were passing a lot more, so they were giving them yards.
Sure, and Shanahan's going to scheme him open. I mean, they missed some big plays when Jimmy G, like, against the Vikings week 1, and he had a big game waiting for him before his real breakout, and I think Jimmy G is going to be...
Didn't he have like an 80-yard reception, a few of those?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, yeah. So, like, I don't know if you can bank on that per se, but, like, yeah, I'm obviously ecstatic about getting him. I just think in fantasy circles in the Bay Area, he's going to be one of the more overdrafted for his, like, upside. Everyone's going to be drafting him at his upside.
I'm not touching him.
You have him at 2.
Yeah, but I'm not touching him.
I don't think at 3. I would guess in most of our leagues am I going to get him, but I'm okay with that. He's one of 4 guys that I love, and I'll be rooting for him on every Sunday. It's just one of those guys that if you are just so diehard that you want to like root for them, that may cost you points for your team and ultimately a title. So you want to avoid those situations where you're just like, my guy, my home team. I'm just getting him because I love him so much.
I'm just going to put this out there. In 88 receptions last year, he averaged 870 yards after the catch, which averages almost 10 yards after the catch. So
that's
that's insane.
Yeah,
and I don't think that's necessary.
870 yards after the catch.
Yeah,
that's insane.
Which tells me that he is a man who is hard to tackle.
He sure is, but that's not repeatable.
No.
Oh, but Travis Kelce's numbers are repeatable. I mean,
much more so. His like depth of target and like just
he's gonna get more looks,
more touchdowns,
a lot more looks because Mr. Hill isn't probably going to be playing.
There are going to be some people out there,
but that also might make Kelce more coverable. If Hill's not playing, you might put better.
It's a lot harder to cover.
He's going to be bracketed for sure.
Whereas Kittle can be a nice safety blanket.
Yeah,
and I think the safety blankets over the years have proven to be guys that you can rely on. I mean, let's just say Witten. Let's just say,
Kittle, Ertz, all these people. If you want to cover them, you pretty much have to put a safety on them.
Yeah,
and good luck anyway. And then, let's move on.
Linebackers can't cover.
Talking safety blankets, Zach Ertz is Carson Wentz safety blanket. He might as well be a wide receiver because that's basically he splits out wide. He's available. He catches over 90 balls a season.
Yeah, absolutely.
So in PPR especially, you got to love Zach Ertz. He's the best PPR tight end as far as a boost for that. Let's just mention that. Maybe a little less touchdowns. He has Dallas Goedert, incredible tight end breathing down his neck. I'm sure Cole wanted to mention.
Yeah, that's why I have him number 3 instead of number 2 is because the emergence of first-round draft pick Dallas Goedert. He is
number 4.
Great, and he's gonna steal some touchdowns and receptions away from Ertz. But Ertz is still he pretty much catches everything. I love him. Stanford guy, local guy. So yeah,
and I think he's going in the 30s. Let's look at our ADPs for these tight ends. Just gonna sort for that real quick, and you got. Let's see. Zach Ertz is down at, let's see, actually, so his expert consensus rank is 41, but his ADP is up at 29, at least on Fantasy Pros, which is, I think, a little too high. But if we're talking, third round, late third especially, I'm pretty excited about drafting Ertz.
That's pretty good value.
Yeah. Conversely, George Kittle, where is he? He's actually not far off, 35, and the ECR has him
absolutely rather have Kittle
up at 22, actually.
And so here's what I would say to you: we have Ertz ranked 3. Ertz's average catch was 10 yards. Kittle 15.6, and then the 4th rank, who I have ranked above Ertz, 16.6 for OJ Howard.
Right. But, I mean, way less production because he had an injury-shortened season.
For sure. But I want that upside at tight end at that point.
Sounds like you love them big plays.
I love them big plays from tight ends. And it's something that is proven more and more likely in the league based on the fact that records are getting broken year after year after year.
But just
And
like
Ertz is
catch,
also older.
catch records, I mean, like
Yeah.
Ertz has got to be like pushing, like if he kept this up, like most tight end receptions. Like you know, there's obviously some greats like Gates and Gonzalez and stuff, but he's like
and those were safety blanket guys.
right. And so like I don't know. It depends if you value like the nice safe catches over the middle, or if you're like, all right, OJ, 5 for 80 and 2, let's go. You know,
Yeah. And personally, that's where I'm at.
I love OJ Howard. I'm happy that we as a group are talking about him in the top 4, and that you have him actually over Ertz. Cole and I both have him at 4, and I think he belongs in this same tier.
Yeah,
for the
I
most
do
part.
too.
I think Kelsey's my like, quintessential best tight end.
Yeah,
but
number one, of course.
But yeah, you can't go wrong with these 4, and then after that, this is where you wait in my mind.
So then it gets interesting.
So our consensus has Henry at 5. That's
I have
ECR.
someone much higher.
Yeah, Cole has Henry at 5, and both Mike and I have him at 6. So we're just like, the jury's out because he had a very early, he hurt his ACL over a year ago, so he should be feeling pretty good, and he was almost ready to come back last season, but they decided to wait.
Yeah.
And I think that's better for his recovery, hopefully. If he's looking good in this training camp and preseason build-up, I'm going to be pretty like my suspicions of him, because he's a damn talented guy, as being the consensus top 5. That'll solidify that, and I'll be more comfortable drafting him in the middle of rounds.
I think the thing with Hunter Henry for me is exactly what you just said. Like, I've heard how talented he is. I've heard how great he is.
I've seen it too. It's just 2 years ago.
I've seen it. No, I understand.
Yeah.
But he's never been like the fantasy guy. Like, I drafted him. I've had him. And, obviously it's not his fault. Injuries, I can't hold it against him, but I'm a little less high on him until proven otherwise for a whole season.
But, I mean, I would argue Henry has the knee issues. Howard has the ankle issues.
Yeah.
And they're sort of, you could almost like look at them in a similar bucket.
Agreed.
So
it's just a personal feeling.
Yeah, I mean, you always have to wait and see, but like you can also sometimes capitalize on that, and so I'm making the case for Henry, whereas I don't think I'm going to get him in most leagues, because I think in every single one of your leagues, someone's going to be willing to draft him at 5 right after Howard.
Yeah.
And if that's the case, I'm not going to be seeing him. But if it's 2 rounds later, it goes against my philosophy. But if ultimately when you're like, I'll just get a tight end, it's because you're not excited about the running backs and the wide receivers available. So if you have a tier drop off at both those other positions, that's when you're going to be like, fuck it, let's try Henry.
So Henry is actually probably going to be falling for me, just because of the situation with their running back, the Chargers. So I think their entire offense is going to fall for me.
Which is funny because you have him ranked the highest.
Nobody knows
but
with the Melvin Gordon contract situation.
That's right now. So
Yeah.
this is again early. So once we get close to the season, we'll know. So if
Gordon gets a 2-year deal for $13
it's
million
going to
or
stay
whatever,
where it is. But if he doesn't get that deal and he skips out on this season, I'm not even going to draft.
Well, one thing I will
Hunter
say
Henry.
is that based on last year, we know that the Chargers are bad at negotiating deals.
yeah, it's hard to put my finger on the pulse of that team.
Joey
They are
Bosa,
so
too.
talented, but like they don't have a fan base
And
and
they're-
a stadium, but they're so good.
And their front
And-
office is sketchy at best.
Rivers just keeps on getting better after
He had some amazing games last season. So
he getting older and getting better. I don't understand it.
I like him.
another kind of guy where
he keeps
you
also
gotta
dropping those kids.
you gotta wait and see on Henry. Let's wait to see what we see, and that'll dictate whether he stays at 5 or starts to fall off if the shine of the Chargers starts to come off a bit.
Yeah.
So what do we got for number 6?
Mr. Evan Ingram comes in at number 6 consensus. I have him at 5. I have him just above Henry. Cole has him down at 7 with Mike. So I'm the highest on Evan Ingram.
It's because he screwed me last year. That's why.
He's another guy that's not really
I will
a
say
tight
this.
end. He's a wide receiver.
Yeah, Ingram could easily climb up my rankings. I could easily put him above a lot of guys. Like I could put him above Hunter Henry,
Sure.
frankly. I already did, right? No.
No, you have Henry above, and you actually
Who else are they going to throw to on that team? Their running back. That's it.
They that's not necessarily true. They got T.Y. Hilton.
And Golden Tate. No. We're talking
wrong team.
Evan Engram. So we're talking Golden Tate. They picked up Sterling Shepard.
Oh, you're right.
Saquon Barkley.
Golden Tate. I forgot they got him.
But I think coming into his third year, he's basically a wide receiver, and that's where you see them break out. He had a great rookie year, but it was just because they had injuries just decimated their team.
No, okay.
So like being tied to Eli isn't.
Ebron.
No worries.
I apologize.
Being tied to Eli isn't the most exciting prospect, but like he's the kind of guy that can get that like same production like Kittle yards after the catch because that guy can fly for a tight end.
Here's what I will say. His strength of schedule on like ranked amongst other tight ends is ranked the 24th. Is
as easiest or most difficult?
Worst. Like he's like 24th. Like one would be easiest.
Okay, I see.
24th is like pretty low.
And that it's usually microcosms where like week by week, year by year that can change, but it can dictate how good a tight end is looking. Like I know the 100%. CBS team really does value those tight end matchups because like the Raiders perennially like can't guard tight end. So if you have whoever's playing the Raiders, like bump them up.
His ADP is 58.
Things like that.
Worst ADP amongst experts is 124. So it's not like he's someone that everyone is like 100% in on.
He's like perfectly fine to me. Like I have him at 5, but like I'm not trying to draft him right after OJ Howard.
So I have him pretty low.
We have you all have him at 7. I'm 5, but you know, like these are the rounds where I usually avoid tight ends. So I think like in our mock, the ADP pretty much had a tight end go each round. It was just like peppering. But what I've noticed a lot of times is there's tight end runs in home leagues where it's just all of a sudden it's the 8th, 9th round, and then everyone's like, oh, I don't have a tight end like Chopik, like you mentioned, and tight ends just start flying off the board.
Well,
so
Chopik goes early, but yeah.
So if you got to wait, like if Ebron's going, if you like Jared Cook tied to Drew Brees, you can just wait and just get your guy, whomever it might be, because these guys are very closely stacked and nobody really knows who's going to be the guy. It could be tight end 4, it could be tight end 40. You know, we don't know. So let's talk about Jared Cook.
Yes,
another little dark horse.
Big playability, fast, but he's old. He's on a team
He didn't look old last year.
No, he didn't. But
he had one of the best catches last year when he like reached back in the corner of the end zone against the Ravens and just he made Derek Carr look so much better than he should on that play.
He's a pure receiver. He cannot block.
Yep. Nice inline. He's a nice inline tight end that can run. So that's the kind of guy that Drew Brees has normally done well with because, you know, he's good at looking off the coverages and then slotting it in over the linebackers, and that's what Cook can do. I think that he's not going to just be like 1,007 or anything, but like 806 is perfectly attainable for him. You know,
how many TDs?
Yeah, like I mean, upwards. I mean, I don't think he's pushing double digits, but like, you know, 8 is certainly possible. Every other week, you see a touchdown out of Cook.
Yeah.
Would you be surprised? I wouldn't. I mean, Kamara is bankable for 1 or 2. Thomas is bankable for one almost every week, and it's just a matter of is Cook getting it? Is Traquan? Is Ted Ginn? You know, but Cook's right in the mix of the Saints offense. And if you like Drew Brees, you're going to like Jared Cook.
Like Drew Brees. Yeah. And what I will say is this. Even in Cook's bad year, when he was on Green Bay, he was tight end 15, which doesn't sound that great, but like that was like a tough year for them. Whereas last year, he ended up having like a huge monster year. He exceeded expectations. I'm looking at a stat on like just his projections. He was projected to score a certain amount of points, and he exceeded those expectations on almost half of his games. He's one of those guys that I think, you know, has like that big potential. He had a 23-point game. He had a 13.4-point game, 16, 11.6, 9.2. Like, you know, all in a row.
I think it's all going to work out in the end, but I think he's one of the hardest. He's one of the hardest guys to rank, I think, because I think it could be 4 or 14.
Yeah, and I have him 5. So. I have him 5.
So you're bullish, and I feel good about him. I
just think the last time Drew Brees had a good tight end, it worked out pretty well.
Yeah. So we'll just see if Cook is going to be a good tight end again, because last year was a revelation in his like age 33 season or something. Yeah. So I'm hoping he can keep it up. I love the Saints and what Drew Brees can do with a player of his capability. So
here's a guy the next guy I'm a little bit secretly bullish on, I ranked him a little bit lower than I actually having like rethought.
You talked about him earlier.
I did talk about him earlier on accident because
It's an EE. No, this is the
I've
other.
had some beer.
No kidding. So instead of Evan Ingram, we're talking about Eric Ebron. Man, what a resurgent season. I mean, not even resurgent. He'd never done it. What a breakout season. He leaves the Lions.
And everyone thought he was going to do this year one coming into league.
Because he was like a top.
He was a top.
He was in the teens.
Yeah.
He was in the teens of the draft and really, really talented player, but he just never meshed well with Matt Stafford. And
no one does.
Calvin did all right, but
that's
just because it's Calvin. But would drop balls in the end zone. Just people got disappointed with him, and then just like left him for dead a little bit.
So this is a guy last year who averaged 10 points a game.
Oh yeah,
to be real. And this is a guy who
he had like 15 touchdowns,
strength
including
of schedule,
like rushing touchdowns.
Strength
and
of schedule, they rank him as easy, second amongst tight ends.
Well, and the Colts are just going to run like 3 tight end sets a lot because I don't think they like run a fullback system. They run like a single RB system with Mac and 2 tight ends. They just and 2 wideouts, and maybe they'll mix and match. But like Jack Doyle is going to be on the field. Mo Alley Cox is going to see a couple dozen snaps a game because he's a freak too. Like, so I question Ebron because of competition. There's going to be much more competition this season. There was, they had like Ryan Grant as their wide receiver 2 last year. Mm-hmm. This year they got Funchess and they drafted Paris Campbell. They're going to want to work in here and there underneath. Yeah. So if you're already getting like Paris Campbell as an underneath guy, Funchess as like a possession receiver and TY over the top, like they're going to use Ebron, but the formula is already there. And while we have Luck as the quarterback 1, you want a piece of that. Like, don't be overdrafting Eric Ebron is my point.
They're going to be spreading the ball
second easiest
a
schedule
lot.
With Andrew Luck throwing to him.
You feel good about him having him in your lineup, but I'm just like, in my head, it's like, yeah, that sounds like tight end 9 to me, and that's where it happened.
Yeah, he's not going to do what he did last year. Let's just say
I had him 8.
So
yeah.
15 touchdowns, if that's truly what he got last year, it's not going to happen this year.
Yeah, I mean, how could it? But, good player, great offense, top 10 tight end. I think that's pretty it's not like
he had 13
it's not bankable
last year, by the way. 13
was it 13?
13.
But was that receiving?
That is receiving
because he had like 2 rushing touchdowns too.
He
took some end arounds to the house.
1 rushing touchdown.
Okay, so 14 total, but like it was a revelation. So
but his yards per reception were 11.4. Yeah. Which actually is higher than Ertz. So
he's like the most possession tight end in Ertz. If we're looking at hindsight, I think
and also more receptions than Ertz too.
His season reminds me of when Evan Ingram was the only guy his rookie year, and Ebron was a bit of the only guy when like Ty was hurt with his ankle and everything. Yeah. So like, don't overdraft Eric Ebron, but let him fall to you. That's my.
Oh, absolutely. I'll take him all day.
All right. Our next guy, I should lead off because I'm the only reason he's in our top 10 probably, is I'm unreasonably...
I had him last year. I like the guy.
I'm unreasonably a big fan of Trey Burton just because... Yeah, I just think he like has that perfect like inline tight end look, like kind of like, I hate to say it, but like the Aaron Hernandez, like smaller in stature, but like can move.
Killer.
Yeah, don't want to go there.
Hernandez.
Yeah, but as far as playing style, going laterally, having those quick hips, and just being able to catch and turn and make things happen in the open field. I just think he
had a frustrating year last year.
Yeah, and I'm hoping Mitch Trubisky can make a little jump this season, and I mean,
it's consistency is the issue with him.
Yeah, I'm stubbornly putting him at 7 because I'm like, I don't think I need to draft him at 7, but like I'm like the guy being like, yeah, sure, like give me Burton over like I'm saying I'm putting my flag on Burton over Ebron because of the like kind of the things I mentioned earlier.
Yeah, I like Burton. I like him a lot. I had him last year, kind of based on your advice, but I had him, and I wrote him, and there were times where he won me games, to be absolutely clear. But this is a guy who. 569 yards, 6 touchdowns last year. Obviously a frustrating year. But 54 receptions is not bad. He's obviously targeted a lot at 67 targets. He exceeded expectations at about 6 games out of 16.
Right. Yeah. So inconsistency. Another year in the system. It's Matt Nagy, right? He's a great coach.
His strength of schedule is right in the middle at 15th.
Right, and they got a good wide receiver core there.
A good team. I think they're going to go pretty far in the playoffs.
Yeah,
just not go to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I don't know if it's the year this year, but they have the best defense in the league.
And that strength of schedule specifically for tight ends, to be clear. It's not for his team.
Mm-hmm. Another guy that is just sort of at the back end of the tight end ones where you're just like, yeah, I'll roll him out there, and I might need to make a change at one point or another, but like you're going to wait and see for the first 3 weeks. And
Mr. Vance?
He could go
Bagger Vance?
number 4, number 5. He could have a huge year.
Yeah. Are we on to Vance now?
Yeah.
The Vance dance?
Sounds like it.
Okay, well,
Mr. 99 stiff arm in Madden.
He's the kind of guy that might have the upside because of the vacated targets from Antonio Brown.
Yep.
And that's really what we're banking on because last year he only exceeded expectations
If
5
Brown
times.
was there, he'd be a couple spots lower here.
Who are they going to throw to? James Washington after Juju?
Yes.
Yeah, but
probably. Dante
look
Moncrief.
what he did last year. I mean, yeah, he was a rookie, but... Yeah.
4 touchdowns. He had 610 yards on 50 receptions, 72 targets.
And 1 unstoppable stiff arm.
And his
yes.
yards per reception were about 12.2.
Yeah, as I said at the
Former
live
Niner.
pod of this, they were like, he's actually 2 people because he took his hand and ripped out the soul of Chris Conti, and now he's actually 2 people.
And to be clear, former Niner.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. We didn't.
Why
wanna
couldn't
mention.
he did what he did?
Yeah. Vance is a big boy, and he's the kind of guy that can get the yards after the catch, as we all well know.
Yeah.
I think he's a definite guy that if he's the 10th guy in this list, that's a good dart throw to have. Whereas in seasons past, you wouldn't want to be starting your season with Vance McDonald. This year, I'm a little bit more excited because I think he has a real opportunity. Jesse James is gone as well. And the other thing they mentioned on our show is Xavier Grimble is the tight end 2 there. No competition. Exactly. No competition for targets behind
Look,
Juju.
if you wait on tight end, he's a great fallback plan.
Big
Without
time.
question.
Yeah.
But he's exactly that. He's a fallback.
So
plan.
wait, and if there's a tight end run, maybe wait some more. If you're in a 10-team league, who's drafting a tight end 2? And if they do, then you just draft the 11th guy.
I
at this
normally
point
do
of the draft.
not draft a tight end 2.
Yeah.
I usually do.
I don't normally have enough roster
but it's usually my
spots.
last pick.
Give me my RB6 before, or wide receiver 6 before my tight end 2.
I like to get those upside guys.
I
I've ridden Austin Hooper to championships. I've done things with those
Sometimes I do a
ends.
defense too over that.
I'm not necessarily wrong. Austin Hooper was a fucking baller one year, and honestly,
Last year.
Last
I think
year,
it was just last year.
No, Austin Hooper was a baller the year before it too.
Well, you can defend
I'm
your
gonna
case
pull up
there.
some stats.
And we're going to mention.
Yeah.
So that's our top 10. Hope you enjoyed. We're going to mention a couple other guys.
Let's talk about your guys that you would like in desperation mode.
Well,
draft.
we mentioned Hooper. We want to also mention Njoku's in some people's top 10s.
In a minute here.
Tied to Baker Mayfield.
Super talented.
Don't forget about these guys. These are guys you can just end up with and be happy with. But let's say just you're in a deep league. All these guys go. You're like, God damn it, it's just a dart throw. Name a guy or two that you're interested in, Cole.
Tyler Eifert, made of glass, but he's going to produce 4, maybe 5 games max probably, and he's going to get solid numbers.
Okay. I hope
So.
hoping for more, as Tyler has for 6 seasons or something now. But yeah, if you put it all together, the talent is definitely
he's a great tight end. He could block too.
Be nice to see. I think the fantasy community would all like stand up and applaud.
Oh, I'd love to see
If you got-
16 games out of him, but
kidding.
it's not going to happen.
We'll see.
I'd like to see 12 games out of him.
Yeah, I'm not too excited if I leave my draft with just Tyler Eifert, but it's a dart throw at this point, and he's free. You mentioned Witten coming back.
Yeah, Witten,
Olsen. These are those
Witten
old guys that are around.
It's just old, but he's old reliable. I don't think he's gonna have a great season, but he's gonna have a solid season.
Good dude, terrible broadcaster. I'm glad he's back on the field, Jason Witten.
Yeah, but this is what I'll say to you right now.
All right, we're back to Hooper.
There's always late tight ends you can take. Like Hooper in 2017 is not that different from Hooper in 2018, by the way. Hooper 2018, 660 versus like 550. roughly in yards.
It's like 2 games of production.
And then 3 touchdowns versus 4. It's not that big of a difference.
Apparently, I saw today that he was the tight end 6
But
Hooper
then
and half
in
point PPR
2017
last year, which doesn't sound, those numbers don't sound like 6, but I guess that's how barfy tight ends are.
Yeah, after the top 3 or 4.
Can we talk a couple more dart throws? I like Mark Andrews. A lot of the industry is starting to get excited about him. He's he's a natural pass catching tight end out of Oklahoma. He's entering his 2nd year. He was one of the 2 rookie tight ends the Ravens drafted last year. And when Hayden Hurst went down with his foot injury, Andrews just took over and had a lot of big plays under Lamar Jackson and Flacco even before that. But he really started breaking out late in the season. That's hard to do as a year 1 tight end.
Yeah. And waiting
talented.
on tight end is not a bad move.
No.
I got Cameron Brate in the year that he had 8 touchdowns, 660 yards in 2016, and that won me a championship. And then I'm still high on Jimmy Graham.
It's just it's so hard to pick the right dart throw. So you have to be water when it comes to your back end.
You have to have strong running backs, strong wide receivers, and go strong on quarterback, and then fuck tight end at that point. You throw that dart throw, and if you hit it, oh boy, are you in good shape. That year that I had Cameron Brate, I had the top 2 running backs in the league.
He's because of opportunity as well. And I'll say if Ertz were to go down, holy crap, Goddard would be a top 8, if not better tight end.
Exactly. So there's always opportunity at the end of the draft. That's where you can win a league.
But you don't need to do it at the draft because these guys are going to be sitting out there.
Yeah. Oh, no, 100%.
Monitor situations.
If you wait on tight end, which I'm a firm believer, you wait on tight end.
Unless you get if you get the top 3 or 4,
even then
that's
I'm
on
still,
you.
And then after that,
even then I still wait.
Yeah,
that's a personal feeling, and the reason that's a personal feeling is it has won me the league twice, and it has won me also another league that we were in twice. Is that I had Cameron Brate or Austin Hooper in both those leagues when I won, and the thing was at the same time I had running back 1 and wide receiver 1 or running back 1 and 2. It's just that is so much more valuable.
I'm just picturing a water park, right, where there's a VIP area that Kittle, Kelsey, and Ertz and Howard are all hanging out in. They're like, come on in, one more, and I'm like, yeah, I want to get in on that. And then you have the middling tight ends at the top of this giant crapshoot, and you guys are picking all the guys that have slid down the crapshoot and are sitting in the shit water. And that's where I don't want to be drafting. Okay,
I mean,
but if I have to, I'll do it. But because I value other positions way more. But if you can get in the VIP club, just get in the VIP club. That's what I'm saying.
I feel that, but I'm just gonna say 5 championships, 1.
I've been in the league for way less years. This is my this is my
that is
4th
true.
year. I'm 1 for 3.
But I also beat you twice in Luke's league. So.
I won Luke's league at least 2-3 times. 3 times, I believe. I don't know.
I kept those.
There would have been championships for me if I were
What I'm saying,
invited.
basically, what we've come to the conclusion of is do what the fuck you want in the draft, but probably don't reach.
That's a good piece of advice. Make sure you do what the fuck you want in your draft.
Yeah, don't reach. Just make sure you don't feel
fun,
bad.
Enjoy your players.
Yeah, if you're gonna grab a tight end early, grab a tight end early, but make sure you back it up with good wide receivers. If you have a wide receiver deficiency.
Yeah, don't reach everywhere.
Don't reach everywhere. If you're gonna go tight end late, make sure you get those wide receivers. Make sure you get those running backs. Make sure the other positions are solid.
So if you handcuffs.
If you lose tight end, if you're gonna lose tight end every week, you need to win 4 other positions.
Right.
Period. That's just how it is.
Okay. I can't talk about tight ends anymore. So that'll conclude our top whatevers for each position discussion that we made it through over the course of 2 different nights and a couple weeks of pods. Hope you all enjoyed. And we're going to be diving into a lot of fun other off-season topics with our friends Cole, and we'll just call him Cole and friends.
Cole and Joe and Pat
and my
will be
compadre,
here.
Michael V.
And SK will be back in. Maybe we'll get Jordan in to douche it up. But in the meantime, follow us.
That sounds good. The douche.
The douche. Follow Timmy in the douche.
Parks and Rec,
yeah. But in the meantime, follow us on Twitter at Fantasy Bros Pod. Fantasy Bros Cast. I'm sorry.
We didn't get the pod. Someone else had it.
Someone else had it. But at Fantasy Bros Cast on Twitter. On Instagram, it's at the Super Fantasy Bros. On our email, if you want to ask us some questions, you can email us at superfantasybrospod@gmail.com. If you want to find us on Facebook, you can just search the Super Fantasy Bros Super Podcast.
Don't forget to smash that like button.
Hit subscribe if that's what you're into.
Oh,